Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the other side of the corner and welcome to your latest Chelsea news. Look at this picture. Look at this look at this brilliant striker. One of the best, probably the best at the moment. Erling Haaland's name is obviously there. But Isak, ladies and gentlemen, is an absolute gunman and he's developed immensely over the last 12 months. Obviously, it was a nice signing from Newcastle, but now the fruits of his true potential is slowly showing week in, week out. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't it strange? Isn't it strange? And I want to pose this question to you guys. Isn't it strange that a player like Isak, back in the days under Roman, there is no chance that a player like Isak doesn't get linked with us? We 100% stay well in contention to get someone like Isak. But now those days are over. And now we are sort of looking at where's Isak going to go. He's been linked to Liverpool and Arsenal. And we are just admiring. We're just sitting on the sideline and going, wow, what a beautiful football club those two are, Liverpool and Arsenal. They're going for Isak. And we are potentially going for someone like Liam Delap or Sesko or whoever else. Now, next season, let's just, for argument's sake, forget about the fact that this season, look, whatever happens, happens. If we get Champions League, we get Champions League. If we don't, we don't. So let's park this season for a second. Majority of the fan base will tell you the plan for next season was to compete for the Premier League title. Now, I want to ask you guys the question. We're all sitting here admiring that this particular striker is potentially moving towards Liverpool or Arsenal. Look, he could very well stay at Newcastle, which only makes Newcastle stronger, right, for next season. But if we want to compete for the Premier League title next season, how is it actually going to happen when someone like Isak, let's just say for argument's sake, goes to Liverpool or Arsenal? How are we actually going to compete for the Premier League title? Do you see the flaws that is so evident in this business model, in this footballing model, that our ownership, the directorship has basically shoved down our throats? We are forever going to be behind our rivals because this model, it doesn't go for the best of the best. It doesn't go for the best in class. It looks for potential and then it tries to make that potential the next best thing. But it may happen, it may not happen. By the time it happens, the player might feel that, you know what, this club's not showing enough ambition and I want to leave. Very similar to how Arsenal used to operate under Arsene Wenger back in the days when they built the new stadium with the Emirates and they consistently had to get rid of their bigger players because they just needed to generate revenue. This is no different to us. And this is the question that I want to pose. How do you all expect us to push and compete for the Premier League title when we don't have the best in the class? Are we looking for one of those miracles, the Leicester type of miracles? That kind of miracle happens once in a blue moon. It may not even happen in our lifetime ever again. The Leicester situation. So, look, this is the latest, which is coming from Fabrizio Romano through Anfield sector. Arsenal and Liverpool are pushing for Alexander Isak. Now, why am I bringing this forward, this news? It has a huge link to what some of these pundits, ex-managers, one of them is Alan Pardew, ex-manager, not ex-Chelsea manager, actually ex-Newcastle manager. He's managed many other clubs as well, Crystal Palace, West Ham, this, that, the other. This is what he had to say about Chelsea model. This is literally the harsh truth about the model. And it's not just Alan Pardew. Other commentators have been saying many different things. And I want to showcase and bring that forward and make you guys start to realize and ponder in your head that this way that we're continuing, is it actually going to be fruitful down the track with trophies or success? So this is what Alan Pardew had to say. And as you know, he was an ex-manager. The model for them, when you look at it, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, of course, because there's always value because of their age. So even if they make the odd mistake, they probably can negotiate a very similar figure because they still got potential. That's true. Look at Cesare Cassidy. We bought him for about, 14, 15 million euros. We were still able to sell roughly about the same price. Plus, we were able to add sell-on clause on it. So in the future, if Cesare Cassidy gets sold, which I'm pretty sure he will, because there's already rumors that potentially clubs like Napoli or whoever else might be in for him, we're going to make money. So that part of the first paragraph from Alan Pardew, absolutely bang on. Now check this out. So I can see how the model financially works, but if I was a football manager, I would be screaming for the like 3 or 4 cast iron individuals who are going to come in and make the team a Premier League winning team. There you go. So as a manager, sure, I can see the finance side of this model, but I need 3 or 4 top individuals who has done it at the highest level. This is a no-brainer. This is an absolute no-brainer. So for people to sit there and just blindly believe that this is all going to work out, it's not. It never has. If you look at history, if you look at the precedents, no one has ever done this. And an ex-manager is coming out. So I've got no doubt someone like Enzo Maresca probably feels the same way. He's been given this. But look, I don't want to show too much sympathy towards Enzo Maresca. He accepted this job knowing very well what we're about. So he knew what he was coming into, and he's accepted that. So he wants this pain and suffering. Many people say, Miz, we're about 2, 3 top signings away from being an elite club. Sure, yes, we are. We are. I'm not even denying that. 2, 3, top signings away. 1 striker, not 2, 3 strikers, but 2, 3 signings away from being a top club. But the problem is, we're not going to get those top signings to be a top club. We're not going to do that. Sure, we are only few players away, but our ownership and our directorship ain't going to do that. We're always and forever going to be 2 or 3 signings, top signings away from being a top club. We're always going to be in that position. These guys will never, ever entertain that. So that's coming from Alan Pardew. Alex Crook, this is what he had to say. It just strikes to me that Chelsea are playing football manager in real life. There is such a turnover of players every time there's a transfer window. This is also true. Look at the past few transfer windows. January window, last summer, the summer before. Okay, you can say maybe the first summer under this new ownership, it had to be like that because many players had left, and we had to bring in a lot of players. Last summer as well, maybe you can say, not the one that just went this season, the one before that, the second season, you could say that, yeah, players like Ziyech and Kovacic and all of those brothers, they needed to move on to Saudi and Man City and so on and so forth. Okay, no problems. But look at the last summer. Look at the last January window. We are doing a hell of a lot of business every single window. And this upcoming summer, if you think, oh, no, miss, no, you're being too pessimistic, you're being too negative again. No, think again. We've got such a huge list of players that we need to get rid of. And then on top of, we need to bring in some important players, which we won't. There's too much business every window. Stock exchange attitude, commodities, buy, sell, high, low, bull, bear. It's mad. And apparently Igbali has been, there's rumors that he likes this. He likes these activities and a lot of commotion in the transfer window. Brings a lot of attention towards Chelsea, brings a lot of clicks, commercialization. It's a mad thing. So Alex Rook is right. The first part of his conversation here, yes, it's like fantasy football. It's almost like the 2 sporting directors are justifying their existence for me. Bang on. Bang on. You don't need 2 sporting directors. To be honest, I don't know too many top clubs that actually have 2 sporting directors. I'm not really sure why we have 2. Well, the way they try and sell it to us that, oh, we've got multi-club model, we've got Strasbourg, we're going to buy more clubs. This is why we need 2. Alex Crook is right. Maybe they've both been brought in because we do so much activities. We do so much every window. You need 2 people. It's not a one-person job. It's almost as if they're justifying their existence. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about the whole Isak, the fact that we are not going for players like Isak anymore. Do you still think we are capable of competing for not just Champions League. We firstly got to make it into Champions League, but competing for Champions League, of course, and competing in the Premier League, because that is the target. Anything else is just, we're wasting our time. So let me know your thoughts about the business model and what Alan Pardew and Alex Crook had to say. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about all of that. Now, last but not least, very, very important news that's getting circulated around, which I think we need to seriously think about all of this. Fabrizio Romano, it is still early. It is still March. So Chelsea have not activated any sort of contact to send Jadon Sancho back to Manchester United. Chelsea at the moment are not proceeding with this clause, but they have this possibility. So it's something that they will assess at the end of the season. Of course, Champions League football will be an important factor in general for Chelsea. This is all in regards to Jadon Sancho. Now, this conversation about Jadon Sancho is picking up steam. It's getting some heat on a regular now, since we started hearing that, look, he could potentially be sent back to Manchester United with a sizable penalty. A lot of people initially thought, nah, that's never going to happen. We're going to just, trigger the obligation. We're just going to keep him. The more this news continues, I'm starting to think, you know what? It's probably wise to just trigger that penalty and send him back. Why? Why do we think like that? Now, so far, Jadon Sancho this season, he's actually had quite a lot of opportunities. And look, there is a player there, but I think a lot of us, and even myself included, we can all now sort of say wholeheartedly, this player is probably not built for the Premier League. He's a very technical player. He's a good player. But in the Premier League, for wingers, you need pace, power, technicality, all of that. You look at some of the wingers in the Premier League. Don't even worry about the top clubs, but even sort of like mid-range clubs. Look at someone like Brighton with Mitoma, Minte. Lots of pace and power, man. Lots of pace and power. Look at Bournemouth, Semenyo. You need to have physicality, you need to have pace, and you need to have technical ability. Jadon Sancho doesn't have that pace power. He's got technicality. You need people to be close within range of Jadon Sancho, then he can give and go, give and go. In the Bundesliga, there's a lot of open space, and that's why he was probably doing well for Dortmund. But in the Premier League, it's ruthless. Defenders they'll crunch you. And the other problem is Jadon Sancho doesn't back himself. He doesn't seem to take enough shots. The only shot we saw so far this season really is the one from against Tottenham Hotspurs, that brilliant shot he took from long range. I think there was another one that he scored against Southampton, but that wasn't long range. It was inside the box. But Jadon Sancho, there's a lot of things that's lacking for him to be a top-class Premier League winger. So, look, the obligation for us to buy is 25 million. If we finish above 14th or 15th, whatever the case is, we can buy him. I don't really know whether we can call it obligation anymore, because there's actually an option to send him back. Now, the option, a lot of people are saying that could be around 5 to 10 million in penalty. I'm starting to think maybe that's probably the wise thing to do. If we don't make it to the Champions League, then, do we need a player like Jadon Sancho? Even if we do make it to Champions League, a player like Jadon Sancho, is he too much of a luxury player? I said it when we got him. Too much of a luxury player. I rate him. I like him, but just probably not in the Premier League level. On top of that, if we do want to keep him on a permanent, he's on high wages at Man United. He'd have to take a big wage cut to sign for us. We haven't agreed any personal terms with him as yet. Yes, there's a obligation, which I don't think it's an obligation anymore, but there's an option now to buy him for 25 million at the end of the loan, but the personal terms are not agreed with him. So he's on big wages. I don't think we give big wages. I'm talking about big wages in excess of 150,000. Unless he actually accepts that he is okay to earn up to 150,000 or even less, then I think Chelsea will trigger the 25 million. It's an opportunity, get this player and look to sell him on for more than 25 million elsewhere. But if it's high wages, and the player's keen to be at Chelsea, it'll be very difficult. It'll end up being another problem for Chelsea Football Club. This is a problem we could potentially escape from. However, you do need to pay a penalty, which I think is probably worthwhile paying, considering how Jadon Sancho has done this season. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts about this situation as well. Would you part ways with Jadon Sancho or do you keep him? Let me know in the comment section. That is the wrap up for today's Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section on both this scenario, especially the business model, the footballing model at Chelsea Football Club, the fact that we're not going to go for top players anymore. Can we actually win trophies this way? Can we actually win trophies? Because that's what it's all about. Smash up the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time, everyone. Take care. See ya. Goodbye.